Hi Eamon, thanks again for giving us the time for the interview. First of all, given that no other side in the top half of the Premier League has conceded more goals than Manchester United, will Alex Ferguson have to strengthen at the back in the January transfer window?
No, I don't think he will have to go into the transfer market for defenders. His problem is the three main men, Vidic, Smalling and Jones, are all injured. Smalling and Jones have been injured from the start of the season. Vidic has a real problem. It's a recurring cruciate ligament problem, and he's going to be out now for 8 weeks possibly. So he won't have to buy defenders, but he needs to get those guys back, and he's going to have to. It's going to be a makeshift back four until he gets them back, because Ferdinand is way off the pace. He's finished really. He hasn't got the pace that he had, and he doesn't have the aggression. Never did have the aggression to be a frontline central defender. Johnny Evans, I don't think, is good enough for a championship winning side. I still think Manchester United will win the Premier League, but this is a crisis for Ferguson. The forwards are playing well. Van Persie, Rooney, Kagawa, the new player, very good player. Valencia is injured at the moment, but he is a good player. So they've got plenty of firepower going forward. They're struggling a bit in midfield with Giggs and Scholes, but really being too old. But Fletcher's back. But the problem at the back won't have to be resolved by going to the transfer market in January. It will be resolved when those players are back fit again. He has enough defenders. Evans is a kind of a deputy, a good makeshift if you haven't got but he's not good enough to be a regular. So it's a bit of a crisis for United, but the other top clubs will have their crises as well. Manchester City, for example, are having a rough time at the moment, relatively speaking. So I think Manchester United are going to be okay, but this is a difficult moment for them.
And next, QPR boss Mark Hughes is already coming under pressure in the media after a poor start. In your experience, does speculation of an imminent sacking have any effect on the club concerned?
It does. The pressure builds up, and Mark Hughes, they spent money in the summer. The owners spent a lot of money by their standards. They haven't got the results. I watched their match against West Ham last Monday night. They weren't very good. I think he's got a major problem there. And speculation in the press, it puts pressure on the players, puts pressure on the managers. Hughes is a very experienced guy, but even he would be rattled because they're down at the bottom of the table, and you get sucked into a relegation battle. And it's important that they beat the teams around them, and funnily enough they have a match coming up this weekend, where they would need to get a result or hope to get a result against one of the weaker teams, because they're a pretty average team. The good news for Hughes is that there are worse teams in the division. The question is, will the owner have the patience to see the bad times come and go? I would say his job is very much on the line. I don't think these owners have patience.
Finally, this week's tips.
Now, this week's tips. Well, I start with funny enough, with QPR. QPR are away to West Brom at the weekend, and I think I would tip 2 draws this weekend. Swansea and Reading will both be involved in relegation battle. Now, Reading go to Swansea this weekend. I think that there's a very strong chance that will be a draw. And West Brom have made a very good start. QPR go there. I would expect them to go there and be quite difficult to beat. The 2 draws are Swansea and Reading, and West Brom QPR. I think that's pays 10 to 1 for the 2 draws. I think there's a good chance of that happening. And the other bet, which I'd be really confident about, would be Chelsea to beat Norwich at home and Arsenal to beat West Ham. That's on television on 5:30 on Saturday. So the Chelsea Arsenal double will pay Arsenal about evens, Chelsea about 1 to 3. That will pay about 6-4, 7-4. I think that's a good bet, a very strong bet, and I think you've every chance of picking up. So they'd be the bets.
Again, thank you for your time.